Welcome to the Brett Johnson .biz podcast, where we discuss business on purpose, radically fresh leadership, capital that transforms society, and marketplace stories that embolden difference makers. Life isn't always easy, and at some stage we're going to find that we need restoration. We need things restored in our lives. There might be finances, relationships, property, capital, our energy, hope. Whatever it might be, we'll come to a point in time when we need restoration. And the question is, does God have a process or a sequence in which He restores things? Now, I'm going to be sharing a series with you based around a little book that I wrote called 10 Steps to Restoration. Recently, when I was contemplating things, I felt challenged to actually use that little booklet as a devotional. So every day I would read something, reflect on it, think about application questions. And I'm going to be doing a short series of podcasts that will tackle different topics. 5 will lead into it, and then 1 for each of the 10 steps. So today our introduction is on the 10 steps to restoration, just talking about the need for this restoration and what it might look like. Now, many people have sought to be obedient to God, but found that when they get on the path of obedience, not everything goes smoothly. And we read about this in Scripture, but when it comes to us personally, it can have a debilitating effect. So what do we do about some of these things? Well, one of the dangers is that when we step out on a path of obedience and things don't work out the way we thought that they would work out, we can end up with hope deferred. We can end up with a wound in our hearts and be more reticent to take another step of obedience. And so we'll unpack that a little bit as we go. So this episode, just to be clear, is not for people who are looking for a 10 easy steps to success, how I get to prosperity, or how I get to personal wholeness or success or personal fulfillment. This little booklet is actually written for the plodders, for the people who have followed the leading of God on an ongoing basis, and yet they feel like they have still not arrived. This book is written for the people who are actually trusting God with reckless abandon, who have done things that look like career suicide, who have taken a chance. They've started a company, or they've pursued a career, or they've given up on a career, or they've moved countries, they've gone to a new city just because God said, pick up and move. I was just spending time with a young man who had taken our training course in the San Francisco Bay Area, and he came to our big weekend. And at the end of the weekend, Lynn said to him, you've moved down, you've packed up your car. Do you have a place to stay? And he said, no, I don't. So she said, well, come and stay with us, which he did. A short while later, he got a job at Facebook, a good job. And then he felt that he should quit that job and move to Boston. He didn't know why, but he was simply following what God wanted him to do. And there are people who are willing to pick up sticks and to make a move based on what God tells them, and yet they don't always know why until some time later. This book is also really a prayer for future generations, because there is a whole generation. You might call them Gen Z. I'm just going to call them New Gen because the numbers keep changing. There's a whole generation of people who feel that their future has been deferred. It's been put on hold for various reasons. One is economics. They come out of college and they've got hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt. Or they went to college expecting that after they were in college, they would get a great job offer. and quickly they would deal with their debt. They'd be able to buy a car, a house, get married, and so on. But as I've pointed out in recent episodes, the average age when somebody buys their first home across the US, and this is not in the high rent districts like LA, San Francisco, New York, but in just regular America, has shifted from 24 years old to 34 years old in the last 10 years. So they went to college thinking, I'll invest this time and this money and I'll get a payback. But the payback has not always happened. Jobs are transient, and it sounds cool to be in a gig economy. But when the gig economy is offering blips instead of a predictable income stream for the masses, that makes it hard. So this book is also written for the next generation who doesn't want to get into a rut, a shallow grave, where they find that they're just shifting from month to month without being able to break out. So I'm hoping that as we look at the sequence by which God might restore, and this is just one example from one chapter in the Bible. So it's from Isaiah 49, and I'll share 10 steps to restoration from that one chapter. Perhaps we'll find some clues, some things that will speak to us personally and help us on our own journey of restoration. In Philippians chapter 3, verse 12, Paul says, I strive to lay hold of that for which Christ laid hold of me. Now, Paul didn't have a pretty career path. He gave up on a prominent position. Perhaps some think that he came from a wealthy family. I don't know if this is true or not. But certainly he gave up the trappings of prestige to follow Jesus and to go after what we today might call an unreached people group, people in the marketplace, the Gentiles. And Paul went after them. They weren't part of organized religion. And to do it, he paid a price. And from prison, he could write, I strive to lay hold of that for which Christ laid hold of me. And so I would like to say that for me, just so that we're clear, this is a message while I'm still a work in progress. Back in 2016 is when God first shared this with me. And I wrote the book back then, but felt that I shouldn't release the book until 2020. That was during the pandemic, the COVID pandemic. And at that time, I thought it would be an encouragement to people. So I put out a first edition. And now I've just put out a second edition, which you can get off Amazon. And the booklet unpacks with some more depth and some more personal application what this could mean for you. I say it's still a work in progress, so I write with the humility of somebody who's on a journey, not with the hubris of hindsight, where I could look back and say, I've checked all the boxes, it's easy, just follow these 10 steps and everything will work out fine. I'm not offering a quick solution, but I am offering hope. I'm offering assurance. I'm offering an understanding of the ways of God so that we can press into God for more, whether we're from an older generation or a new gen person. We can press into God for more and say, okay, God, you are the God who restores. Your mercies are new every morning. Your faithfulness is indeed great. You are good and you are strong. So I want to press into that for which you laid hold of me. I want to lay hold of that thing. I want to fulfill my purpose on this earth. And I don't want to be one who gets knocked off the horse by the circumstances of life. I don't want to be one who's now dependent upon a company, a government, my parents, or just a wing and a prayer. I want to be somebody who firmly fixes my focus on you, who firmly has my foundations reset, and who understands the ways and the processes of God so that I can walk into the purposes of God. That's the end of our first short episode. They will all be short, 7 to 10 minutes. I trust that you'll tune in for these 15 sessions. I look forward to seeing you in the second episode. Thanks for listening.